Welcome to part 3 of the test series on Discover Check. We commence the position from a game between Waganim against an unknown player with white to play and win. As can be seen here, black is exerting tremendous pressure with his bishop attacking the queen and bishop attacking the rook rather, my apologies. And if at all the rook moves away, queen delivers mate on g2 square. But here we see a stunning queen sacrifice which brings about a discovered check. White had no hesitation in playing queen h7. After force rook h7, there comes double discovered check from rook e7. We see bishop checking the king, at the same time a check from the rook which forces the black king again back to h8, and now we see rook h7 is check and mate. Our next example is from the game between Johnston and Marshall with white to play and win. A unique position, fantastic position. First we find that bishop here is in line of the black king, knight is in between. So moving away the knight will lead to a check, in fact a double discovered check with knight e7. So again, like we know that there is no option but to only move the king. So king to h8, and now comes knight g6 check. So since the king does not have a flight square on g8, because it is controlled by bishop on c4, the only response for black is to play h captures g6, and you know now white creates a mating attack by capturing the knight. H captures g3 check. It's a discovered check from the rook. So here, like there is no flight square, black tries queen to h4, but rook into h4 is check and mate. This position is from the game between Lotherschmidt and Rosolimo with black to play. And now here basically we see that white king is secured. He has a good pawn covering and a firm blockade by bishop on e3, which is blocking, means like any opening of the lines. But with two successive rook sacrifice, first with rook into g2 check, which forces king into g2, then comes rook into f2, a rare double rook sacrifice by the famed inventor of the Rosolimo variation in the Sicilian defense, which forces bishop into f2. And now comes discovered check with e3, and after king g1 we find queen captures f2, check and mate. So this is how black was able to win the game. Two beautiful rook sacrifices. Let us have a look at the start position and examine the first move again. So after rook captures g2 check, what if king had gone to h1 and had not captured the rook? Well, in that case mate will come from queen captures h3. So here capturing of this rook on g2 is forced. And now let us also examine variation after rook captures f2. So for example here, if what we say, white does not capture the rook and goes for king g1, well, in that case mate will come from queen g3 check, king to h1 and queen h2 check. And we also see, like after e3 check, what if queen goes and blocks the check, or like rook goes and blocks the check. So for example, let us examine here rook to d5. Well, in that case here in this position black can play queen captures f2 check, and when king is on h1, first he can again continue by playing queen into e1 check, forcing king here again, say on h2, then again comes queen f2 check, and when king goes to h1, he can then go in for a double attack with queen f3 check. So this is like you see a check to the king and an attack on the rook, and once the king gets out of check, he will be in a position to play bishop captures d5, not only threatening queen but also threatening check and mate, a comfortable piece up with a dangerous pass pawn on e3, and that is why white resigned in this position. Fantastic combination. The position before you, the next one in the series, is from the game between Muzinko Gorniak. It is white to play and win, and winning move is not difficult to guess, again like its successive sacrifice. So first comes rook into f7. This forces queen into f7. Why? Because now we see that both the rooks are attacking the knight and also with support of the queen, so mate is going to come on that square. So queen into f7 is must. And now comes second successive sacrifice, this time of the queen. So in the last game we had two successive rook sacrifices. In this game we had two successive sacrifices, first from a rook and then from the queen. This forces queen into h7, and now we see bishop ready to deliver a discovered check, and it's not only a check but a mate, because the pawn on f7 also covers the flight square on g8, and bishop check cannot be blocked by the queen because queen is under pin from the rook on h6. Our example here is from the game between Kukurin and Tartakover with white to play and win. White started with e captures f7 check. This drags the king on the 7th rank in line of the rook on e7. So stage is set for double discover check. If it promotes to a knight or a discover check, white decides to promote this to a queen. F captures e8. This forces king to h6, and now like queen can invade on g6 with a check in support of his knight, but pawn is the guard, so the winning move is not difficult to guess. White goes in for defense elimination of this square, that is the pawn on h7, by playing rook captures h7. After rook captures h7, it is queen g6 check and mate. Let us examine after f captures e8 when white promoted to a queen, what instead of if king f6, if like bishop captures the rook on e7. But remember, it's not a double discover check, it's only a single check, so bishop can capture here. But well, in that case here like white can continue, queen captures e7 check, king to h6, and like it can win in any way, queen f6 check, king to h5, and bishop f3 check and mate. The concluding example of part 3 of discovered check, number 18, it is white to play and win. We already see three pieces on the same line, the queen of white on d5, rook of white on e6, and the black king on e7. Only problem is that knight of black on f4 is threatening to capture the queen. So a single check will not do. White has to go in for a double discover check. Here we also see that flight square to f8 and f6 is controlled by the knight on h7. So basically, like if white is able to give double discover check, then he did not worry of the loss of queen. So there comes the move, rook e7, simply beautiful. Offering is rook free, but now here it can only be captured with the king, because we see that like no flight square on f8 and f6, as I said earlier, controlled by the knight on h7, no flight square to g8 as queen is on the line, same way with e6, and even no square on g7 because of the rook here on e7. So this forces king captures e7, and now we see a little pawn move f6 in support of the knight on h7 is check and mate. So this is, friends, we have seen all these 18 positions, part 1, part 2 and part 3 on Discover Check. This concludes our session here, and I will be back with next in the series. Bye for now.